All right, and we're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our weekly dream live stream here. And I, of course, have Alexis, who's with me every single week. And we have special guest Jace here with us. And so before we get into tonight's chat and discussion, which is part 2 on prophetic dreams, I just want to share that Alexis and I have a dream circle, a lucid dream circle that will begin on May 7th. It's 5 weeks. Every week we'll meet via Zoom and we will discuss a lucid dreaming topic as well as share dream interpretations, anything pertaining to dreams, lucid dreams, anything coming up at the time. We will come together and share with one another. If you are interested in that, you want to learn more, check out the link in the description of this video to register and gain more information about what this circle entails. So I'm really excited to have this special guest, Jace, here. And Jace, I will go ahead and let you introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Jace. I've been a lucid dreamer for a very long time. I learned it when I was really young due to some unforeseen circumstances, I guess you could say. And I've just been practicing it and trying to teach people and as well as modify the method and make it work even better. I also do a lot of dream interpretation because of my experience with the lucid dreaming. It's easier for me to visualize things and get into people's dreams and try to visualize it for them and give them interpretation. So I've been doing that for a while.
Nice. And so Jace and I are just, and Alexis and I are just both meeting Jace for the first time. Jace, thank you so much for being so engaging in the comments, live and on the replay. This is literally what I inspire and intend for, these dream live streams and just anything I do on my channel and within my work is to engage with others. And so if you are anyone out there watching this, please engage with us in the chat. And, maybe you will join us in a live stream because I'm always open to connecting and chatting live on camera with you guys. That's how Alexis and I linked up. Also with doing this, she participated in the lives I was doing on Instagram. And so we just naturally have come together to facilitate this space. So I'm so happy that Jace has accepted and to be here live with us tonight. So thanks again.
It's great.
All
I'm glad I'm
right.
here.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to talk more about prophetic dreams. In the last live stream, we talked about the benefits of prophetic dreams. We talked about possibly what prophetic dreams are. And I feel what we discussed last week, we mentioned that there's a bit of a difference. Like for me, it felt as the terms, like what you would like the actual wording, just precognitive sounded better to me, right? Prophetic to me felt like there was more weight to it, like more emphasis, like it was a kind of a bigger experience. And the other term, so with prophetic dreams, you have prophetic, precognitive, and I've heard psychic, right? And psychic just has heaviness to it in a different way where a lot of people like it could be really woo woo or people will kind of shun that because of just the nature of psychic. And so Jace, I really liked what you shared in the chat and the comments about how you actually view prophetic dreams and precognitive dreams as different you know types of dream experiences. So do you want to share a little bit about that here?
Yeah, sure, of course. So well, like I said in that on that on that chat, well, I believe prophetic dreams, just kind of like you, they are a little bit heavier, a little bit more. But to me, they're also, I guess you could say they're more like deja vu event, like super deja vu to me.
Mm-hmm.
When I would have one, I would when I actually had the dream and after the words it would actually come true. It was like I was living through a deja vu experience the whole time. So it's like you know what's going to happen next. You know what's going to happen next. This comes. You're like, what am I doing? It's like I'm dreaming even though I know I'm awake. So prophetic dreams to me are like that. Precognitive dreams to me, you do get some information. It's just not a bunch of deja vu. Like you get you're going to I use a little example like going to the grocery store. Say you have a dream, you're going to the grocery store, you're going in this dream to go get something and you see the specific like advertisement or whatever, and that's what you really want or whatever. And then you go to the grocery store sometime later. Could be a day, could be 2 weeks. And as you're going to the grocery store, it's not deja vu because the same person who crossed in front of you when you before you got to the grocery store isn't the same person. They're not wearing red or blue or green or anything like that. Um, but when you get into the grocery store, you see the display and it's exactly the same. There's your deja vu. So precognitive to
Mm,
me are like bits of information, whereas the
Mhm.
prophetic is like the
yeah.
movie reel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Alexis, have you had the same kind of experience as far as like maybe like a longer scene? Because for me,
Yeah.
thus far, I feel I've only had like those little bits of information coming through.
So I've had both of those, and I've had a third one, which I discussed before, that I don't know how to categorize. But, you know, for me, the prophetic dream would be the dream that I had of my grandfather falling out of bed and watching his spirit, disappear. And then the following like 4 days, 5 days later, him falling out of bed and passing away. That would be to me a prophetic dream. Whereas a precognitive dream would be like the one I talked about, where I accidentally hit my friend in the face in the dream, but it was completely different aside from the feelings and emotions I got and the actual act of accidentally hitting them in the face in real life. Like it was
Mm-hmm.
a bit of information. It wasn't the whole thing played out. And then I have this other one that I don't know how to categorize. And I know I've talked about this before, but I still am up in the air of how to categorize it. Where when I was a kid, I had this dream of me being this figure. It was my looking out of my eyes or somebody's eyes, and I'm walking through a narrow living room having an argument with someone. And I look out the window and I see a red vehicle. Now, later in my life, a little bit after I met my husband, um, we both had a falling out with his mom. And it all came back as deja vu, but I was in the vehicle looking up at him, going through
Wow.
the narrow living room, having the argument. I'm sorry, not red cars, silver. But anyway, this, I had this prophetic precognitive dream, but I was not the actual person. I was the person outside in the car, even though in the dream I was through the eyes of my now husband. So I
Wow.
still to this day don't know how to categorize this one.
Yeah.
Hmm. That so I do have I don't know about prophetic, but I have seen dreams where I've seen through the eyes of something else, looking back at my own self. And I've heard and I've talked to people who it's called like a third person. You're basically an observer dream where you're observing from a different vantage point what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know what causes that. I mean, I have no idea, but
I
it's an
don't know.
interesting
It's so bizarre because, like I said, everything that happened in the dream
happen.
happened in real life, like a deja vu, step by step, every aspect of it, except I wasn't the person having the argument.
It
I was the
had to.
person that they were looking into the car at.
Um,
It was such a bizarre thing because it was prophetic, but also like, or precognitive, but also, well, I guess prophetic because it was
mhm.
exact deja vu, full exact experience. But yeah, it was so bizarre having that third perspective.
I've I have like theories on certain things. I've had some weird, really weird dreams. I don't think that they're necessarily prophetic or precognitive because I never actually got to experience them ever, but they felt like they were third person. They felt like they were in the same time frame, and that's one of the other things for prophetic precognitive dreams. generally they're not like years and years and years in the future. They're generally,
Yeah.
have a pretty close time frame. They're not like you might have a past life you would see, which is not really on topic, but what you'd be based off the time frame you're seeing in your dream or something like that. Whereas
Yeah.
these prophetic, these precognitive dreams, they're kind of close to present time.
Hmm.
So I had dreams, and
Mhm.
this was one of the things that had me go somewhere to look up information for it, and that's another thing entirely. But yeah, that weird stuff. So
So what
It's
did
weird because
you go ahead?
I was just gonna say it's weird because I really like there is no category for that type of experience. It's like I've never really had dreams outside of my own eyes. So this was odd. And the
Yeah.
fact that too, it was like 12 years apart. And
Yeah.
I've had things like that happen, but it was like couple months, couple years, but this was 12 years.
mm.
Yeah.
Like I just
So
I have no nothing. I have nothing.
I have two questions or 2 points maybe, because I feel, and this is probably, you actually receive what you believe, right?
Mhm.
So even though this is a bit off topic, but it's going to tie into what I want to share, but when it came to lucid dreaming and when I was really starting to get into that, I guess you could say, or just getting really curious, I had a friend who would lucid dream all the time, as she says. And she told me that one of the things that you cannot do in dreams is tell time, like time breaks down, like if you're actually looking at time, and reading, right? So she told me, if you think you're in a dream, ask for the time or ask for a book, which is what I would do for a long time, and that's how I knew. But recently I've been reading in my dreams, and time has been an interesting one, which we can have a conversation later about that. But um my point is, there is like this parameter that I've learned, and like I've experienced it, and I've heard of other experiences, but then, like Alexis, you're a good example. My friend Mary, hi Mary, I see you in the chat, has also mentioned this
Hi,
before,
Mary.
where you've had dreams give you, like, you've had dreams that have come to manifestation that pretty much was a precognitive or prophetic dream, and it's come to fruition years later, right? And so what I've learned is that one of the parameters of a quote unquote true prophetic dream is that it will manifest within a 3 to 7 day window, maybe 2 weeks, right? Which has been the case with the dreams that I've experienced, like that I would consider precognitive. And they do use the term precognitive. So I don't know, maybe they decipher from prophetic and precognitive. But yeah, it's like, so Alexis, I've heard and you can add to this too. And Jace, I'm really curious of what's your perspective or insight or experience with like the time frames of like, you know, that window of time of it being truly something prophetic. Because usually they say your dreams are a representation usually of what's going on in your current um reality, so to speak.
Okay, so one of the prophetic dreams I've had, it was like 2 weeks from the day I had it is when it happened. And that was the one that was like I remembered it completely deja vu, and it was like, oh my goodness. I
Mm-hmm.
tried to modify it in the waking world. I was like, oh well, I know what's going to happen. It's going to be something bad. I don't want to I don't want it to happen, so I want to try to modify it. But as a young kid, because I was a young kid at the time,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have any power to modify anything. That saying, parents tell you, hey, you're going to go here, you're going to go do this, you're going to do that. So you can't really modify anything. You don't have the power to do that. And but for the time wise, it was like 2 weeks. The next prophetic dream I had, it was longer. I'm trying to remember how long it was, but it was a longer period of time. And that was the house that I lived in when I was a kid. It burned down, had a fire because it was old, and birds nested in the attic and got into
Wow.
the, yeah,
I'm
poor thing.
sorry.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a
I'm so
beautiful house.
sorry.
It happened, and nobody got hurt, nothing
Good.
bad happened. There were some amazing parts to that. not in the dream, but in what reality what really happened. Some maybe amazing things that happen, but that's not here nor there. But that was a longer period of time. And I also noticed the longer and further away it is for a prophetic dream, the more you're going to loosen. You're not going to have that 100% deja vu because it gets foggy. But you will, certain situations will pull you back into it, like, oh God, this happened before. And that's how that experience happened, because once the fire started happening, I'm like kicking into, well, I got to get animals. I got to call the fire department. I was the only one home. So I got to do all these different things. Well, maybe I can turn the fire with a hose on and spray it down and, stop it before so the fire department can come and fix it. And then, once I got to a certain point, then the prophetic, it kicked in. I was like, oh my God, this happened. And, but it was because of the stress. And I think the length of time is why it wasn't so fresh and clear and instant deja vu to me. Like the one that, I woke up in the morning, walked downstairs, saw everybody sitting at the table, and I'm like, what's going on? And then somebody said something, and I'm like, what's he? Oh, oh, you're like at dumbfounded moment, like, oh, this is happening. Oh,
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So, go ahead, Alexis.
No. I was just gonna say, like, that's kind of where I lay, is like I've had some that are like months apart. I have some that are years apart. I have some that happen almost immediately. Like I said, the one with my grandfather, I had the dream on Wednesday. He passed away that Monday. So it was pretty immediate. But then like I've had ones that are, like I said, 12 years apart. So I feel like this kind of adds to the mystery of how incredible dreams are and how each person's experiences are so different.
Yeah. I'm curious if there's like a seed that's planted or something. I don't know why I feel so anchored and like committed to this time frame. I think it's just because it's an auspicious thing. Just in general, 3 days, 7 days, that I like that.
Well, it could also be because that's what you've personally experienced. So
right.
If you don't have a prophetic dream that happened, months ago, or you had months ago and then it happened, or years ago, you only have what you experienced. That's not bad, but that's your experience, and that's why you're so anchored into it, is because that's what you know.
Yeah. I'm just curious if there was, and this is also just goes to show that what is time in a way too, because it's like, you're having this experience here. I wonder if there was like a seed planted, or there was something that was even set into motion at that time of the dream, and then years later, as a result of what was set in motion at the time of the dream, or what seed was planted, that was now coming to fruition. Like and this is when my whole Aquarius mind goes into play with conspiracies or just different theories, where I'm just like, oh, did you make a decision beforehand? Instead of going, left, you went right. And now you're having this dream that's like, foreseeing that, and everything is like all kind of like synced up. And so, I get really curious about, these type of experiences. And of course, like, no one actually like, will we ever know? Like, we don't know. There's no exact clear answer, is what it seems.
We only know our experience. We only know our experience, and that's so crazy. This is totally off topic, but Urania, I think you would love Doctor Who.
Oh, I know. I always see it, and I'm curious about that. Okay, so I need to check that out. If it made you think
time-based, you would just anyway.
So okay, I'm gonna read some comments. So Como, I hope I'm saying that right, is saying waiting for it. So they were waiting as we were joining. So welcome in. Mary says hi to everyone, and then said that Good Friday, after an upset, apparently I was screaming in my dream like I was being killed, and I had my daughter barge in, and she has no recollection of the dream at all, which is she said, I think it's an effect of someone or emotion, someone's emotion or your emotion. Kind of confused by that, but Yeah, I mean, I feel that's one of the things with dreams where it's like you don't even know if it's a precognitive dream or something of that nature until, later, right?
Yeah.
Like for the most of the time, it's like a hindsight situation. And I feel that I'm experiencing maybe like I wouldn't say an exception, but I know at least from two dreams, and I'm programming my subconscious to do this, but I have received a moon phase. I talked about this in the last live stream that I received a moon phase in two dreams, and the moon phase was coming up within the next few days, or like the sign that the moon was going to be in was coming up. And I knew the second time I received something about the moon, I knew upon waking, it's like, pay attention, like something's coming forth. So that might be more of like a precognitive experience in which I'm getting some sort of information that is relevant to the future. So that definitely, I could see that being different than a prophetic experience, being like, okay, this is how it's going to unfold. Here's the scene and you're going to experience that. And then later experience that. So I can see that being those two differences as far as types of dreams.
It could be too, like you said, a planting of the seed where maybe in your own life, so like for me and my husband, like maybe we just had so many parallels occur in our lives separately that we tapped in, like that I was able to tap into like a different timeline where we're together earlier in to prepare me for it because of how intense it was going to be. I mean, there's so many like theories around it, and I was thinking about this too, is like I had the dream about my grandfather passing away, but when I was like 8 or 9, I would lay in my bed and I would have like kind of like, I would say, the same dream of his funeral, and it was an in between, not funeral, wake, I'm sorry. It was an in between state of being asleep and awake, like I was when I was doing the meditation. And I would have
Mm-hmm.
this visual of his wake, which ended up being the actual visual of his wake later on. But it was also
Wow.
something that like death was talked about a lot in my household and around my grandparents. So it could
Oh
be
yeah.
like like if a topic is brought up a lot, you could tap into different areas on the timeline based on the topic that's like overwhelming or consuming you.
Yeah. No, I can totally see that. So when it comes to the information received, or when you're kind of almost feels like you're reliving that scene, how do you like, so what do you do with that, right? Like, what do you try to change it? Like, I know Jace, you said you didn't even, if you wanted to change it, you didn't have the power at that point. And do you feel that you should even, like, maybe you shouldn't mess with it and kind of just kind of go with the flow and not try to change the outcome? So how do you, like, yeah, how do you move through that, navigate that?
Me or her?
Either, both of you,
Oh,
you
You
both
so
have
go first.
experience.
okay, I'll go first.
Yeah.
So the precognitive, I do have some precognitives, and they're like really, really, really mild, like arguments. Uh, I'll have an argument dream, and then like a couple of days later, the argument comes up. I'm in the little, oh yeah, this is happening, and it's just a little, the rest of the day was, not anything to do with the dream, but the argument did, and so I'm like, I'm the one who starts the argument or causes something, or I continue it and I make it worse by talking in the dream. I just shut up and it doesn't continue and it goes away. But I can clearly remember what I said in the dream after the person has spoken and I'm supposed to speak back to them or something. And I just, I just mull up and shut up and don't say anything. And they talk a little bit more and then everything goes, and there was no argument. It just smooths
Mm,
over. So I'm like, ooh, you can those seem to have no effect on a grander scale. At least I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you'd measure it, but it seems like they're
yeah.
significant events, but they are an event that happens. And so by doing that, that has an inconsequential effect of doing nothing other than less strife. Prophetic, something big. I don't know. I've heard somebody before, because I've talked to people who've had prophetic and precognitive dreams, and they said they tried to change it while they were um in it, and it felt wrong, like really wrong. It felt like going against something. So
Like that's fixed in time.
kind of like, yeah, like if time's a river and it's going a certain way, it's like you're supposed to be going this way and you're trying to push against the current, and that doesn't feel so good. So
Yeah.
I'm curious of like what is the point of receiving that information, like receiving or like seeing that, right? Because I feel like with dreams in general, I feel like there's always some sort of beneficial intention, or there's like always some sort of purpose. So, what is the purpose in knowing, and not saying like, you have to change the outcome, but yeah,
I have
I
one
just,
theory:
I don't know. Yeah. What is your theory?
preparation, to prepare you,
That's a good one.
because um certain things can traumatize people like really seriously bad. Even dreams. I mean, nightmares can traumatize a kid, a person, adult, anybody. Nightmares can traumatize people, and you'll get like a disassociation, and it's a whole thing. So a dream that prepares you for something bad that's coming, it's like basically giving you a warning sign that says, "Hey, road's out ahead. Don't drive any further," or "Hey, you need to slow down," or "Pay attention."
Yeah.
So it lessens the blow of when something bad does happen, or of something does happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like it can kind of give you this sense of awe. Like if you are in awareness and you catch that, I think just from my experience recently with the moon phase, and I wasn't told exactly what would happen. And I have deeper theories about everything going on in the stream, because it was so, like, the vibe of it was just otherworldly. And this is like an astral travel type dream. But what I was given a heads up to was essentially what I felt was the fact that my grandmother's, the 20th year of her passing was coming up. Like literally, it was like within 2 or 3 days of having that dream. And even though I was sad when I heard that, or when my mom reminded me, I was in so much awe and just almost like in delight of what I experienced in the dream. And Alexis was like talking to me at the time, and I was just like, she's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Wow, yeah, I'm fine, but this is amazing." And so I feel at some points, maybe in some experiences too, just even that within itself, like if you're someone that is doing, dream work, and you are wanting to connect deeper with your, unconscious self, or with the divine within you and spirit, that is a little kind of not Easter egg, but just like a little treat almost, or something that's like, hey, like I see you, and I am here, I'm with you, or whatever message that is of support and guidance for you. Like you get that aha moment, you get that reveal through that experience. And so I can definitely see that, even with preparation as well. Like I felt like, I'm like, okay, I got this, right? I am supported. So I totally feel that.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that concept of it because it kind of goes hand in hand with the preparation, but in kind of a more sentimental like way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds, yeah.
And I feel that I tend to when I talk about dreams, because I don't know, I'm a very intense person. Got a lot of Scorpio. Capricorn, I feel, can be intense in a different way, which I have a lot of that in my chart. And so I'm used to intensity. I'm used to just having to go through these deep experience of like self transformation, the whole death and rebirth, which can be kind of not necessarily traumatizing, but it could be a lot. And so my introduction into dream work, which I've shared with people, was literally like nightmares, anxiety, like everything I was wanting to avoid. It was like, no, you have to deal with this first before you get to the good stuff that you want, which I wanted to receive, like lottery numbers and all the fun things, you know,
Yeah.
and that divine guidance. But it was like I had to really go through that darkness. And I feel that that actually was so much more powerful, like in its own way, than what I was like initially going for. Like that stuff is going to be amazing too, but this was like, it helped me like with just my own, like feeling my own sense of divine protection. Like I
Yeah.
can't really explain it, you know, but it's like I feel so
Trial
much
by
confident
fire.
within myself. Yeah, right, exactly. So, I mean, and that was one of the, I would say one of my fears, that kind of brought up a lot of anxiety, was that precognitive or prophetic experience that I hear everywhere of like, I had a dream that my loved one died, or like someone, you know, whatever. And I'm just like, and that I like shut down, and that then came the nightmares and the anxiety. So it's like I feel that, like what I said in the last live stream, is that, you know, your unconscious self or your divine self within will give you what you can handle. And even if it is something like really heavy, like you will actually feel more prepared, you know, once you have like having that experience. And then, you know, you may experience some aspect of that in real life, or I hate saying real life, but in like your waking life, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I connect to that a lot, especially with like going through the hard stuff, because the reality of it is you are traumatized. You get traumatized by more things than like what society really allows you to like actually identify. Like you could see someone a car accident on the side of the highway as you're driving to work, and that's traumatizing, but you kind of just put it in a box. So the amount of stuff that like we experience through our entire life, especially when you're constantly going through that rebirth, you know, going through all the hard stuff and then going through the rebirth of it, having those dreams help you is like, I don't, it's kind of like, it's like a blessing. It's like when I was going through really, really intense stuff throughout my entire childhood, going into dreaming was what saved me and kept me going through life. Like I said, I have one foot in the reality and one foot in the dream realm. And that's because I put myself there from the time I was a little kid to help me get through all of the shit that I was going through.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
like the prophetic dreams are one thing, and then just the lucid dreams and the conscious dreams and all the other things, it, like it emphasizes that. And
Yeah.
you know, I also think like I there could be precognitive aspects to every dream you have. It could
Yeah.
just be, you
Yeah.
know, a minuscule thing that you wouldn't even look at, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
a specific bug crossing you on the
Mm-hmm.
sidewalk that you didn't even really pay too much attention to in your dream, or like the color of someone's shirts you were street, you know, passing in the street, or something that is just so insignificant that it really doesn't serve any
Mm-hmm.
purpose or catch your attention.
Yeah. Well, I like, so this is on topic, but kind of off, which I feel like we're going to do a little bit of that. But when Jace, Alexis, and I were chatting yesterday just to, you know, meet and prepare for this, Jace was sharing that you shared how within lucid dreams, or just, yeah, I guess you're always pretty much lucid in the dreams, where you literally observe everything in the dream, which I think that, like you were saying, Alexis, that paying attention or just like taking note of what you see in your dreams,
Mm-hmm.
you might start to see that it's like your worlds merge, right? Like the
Yes.
unconscious and the conscious parts of your life experience kind of start blending together, right? Because you're like very aware in your dream realm, and you're also, by that, I feel like people that are aware in their dream space are probably aware in their waking life too, right? And so that begins to blend. So I think that's really amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I'm trying to think of something that to kind of emphasize that, to where this, I'm glad to be like reading or watching a dream or being in my dream. And, I'm watching it and I'm looking and I'm paying attention. I'm paying attention to even the small stuff, because you could catch something that, well, is this like recent? Like, am I in 1980s? Am I in the 1990s? Am I in the 20s? If it's something recent, I'm like, okay, why is it recent? That's a little concerning to me, because, you know, personally for me, I generally don't dream recent dreams unless it's like a prophetic or precognitive, because it's very,
Mm,
very rare.
interesting. Yeah.
They're usually weird, long, symbolic dreams of other stuff. And that's another topic entirely. So,
Yeah. So I'm curious, do you like write your dream? Do you record your dreams at all? Because I feel like you just like you mentioned before that you have almost pretty much a photographic memory. So do you have to write your dreams or anything
so I
or record
do,
them?
I do
Okay.
write some of them down, and sometimes I record them as a, voice recording, and say,
Mm-hmm.
wow, okay, here's a crazy dream. I mean, I've got bunches of them,
Yeah.
just bunches of them. And some of them are like epic storylines.
Yeah.
I've like, so I'm on a different platform. It's kind of dying anyways, but I've talked to them in lives before, but not video. And I've explained some of the dreams, and they're like, oh my God, that could be a story. And I'm like, it probably is. And
Yeah.
I've had some other situations where I call these series dreams, where I'd start something and then, sometime maybe not that month, but the next month, it continued from where it left off. I call those series dreams. So like it's a series,
Mm-hmm.
and it's,
Yeah.
yeah, completely different something, but not off
Do
topic.
you do you ever try with the series dreams? Do you ever try to jump back in them during a meditation?
No, I've never tried jumping into a dream during a meditation.
Okay.
I tried
Interesting. Try
because,
it, Alexis, and let us know because it
yeah,
seems
see
like
if it'll
you
work.
got something
Well,
like pondering there.
You
that's
can,
what my experience with doing that meditation the other day was. It felt like I was lucid dreaming, but I was awake. Like I
Mm-hmm.
don't know how else to explain it.
it's
Yeah.
almost like
No, I know
dream
exactly what
seeding.
you mean. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I was 100%
Interesting.
in a dream, but I was awake. It was so weird. Well, I guess not 100% then, but I felt like I was just in my dream realm.
Hmm.
So, I know we talked about the ways, or mainly with prophetic dreams, that the way you really know, or the way you can really only know is from hindsight, right? Or like reflecting back. But I'm curious if, like, just thinking about the prophetic dreams that you've had, and like thinking about the emotion in the dream, is there some way where your emotion okay, so I'll tell you my theory, just me thinking about things. I feel that, like, when it comes to prophetic dreams or something's really important, right, within this dream, I feel those type of dreams kind of conjure strong emotion. Like, yeah, dreams can be fun, dreams can be weird, but like the ones that are like really they strongly like emotionally pull you, I tend to feel like there's definitely something precognitive here or prophetic, right? And I feel that possibly, is it like you can tell if it's going to be a good or bad manifestation. And so this is me, this is my Aquarian brain, the negative aspect of her. I'm like anxiety, right? But like, is there a way to be like, I feel like this is going to be a good manifestation, um, because of the feeling that's conjured, you know, from the dream. Am I making sense? Does that, I don't
Yeah,
know if
I
that.
I I think that that's actually a sound theory, because generally your dreams turn, even if it's a prophetic or precognitive dreams, your experience in the dream is either a good or bad, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
you had a good or a bad feeling in that dream, you could base it possibly off of what's going on in your waking life. If but so like what's interesting though is like the prophetic dreams I had, it didn't, in my life, didn't seem like it was having anything bad happening in it. It was just like unforeseen circumstance. Something just happened, and
Yeah.
that's what
Mm-hmm.
happened. So it's it's kind of like it's just a mystery to me to some
Mhm.
degree on, but you might be able to catch some of these precognitive ones that are really close and say, oh yeah, I'm feeling that same kind of feeling. And it's kind of maybe something I'm wearing the same shirt I was wearing. Oh, and all of
Yeah,
a sudden you
I'm
start catching it.
yeah, because I'm thinking about the dream that I had that gave me kind of a pointing to as far as my grandmother's anniversary. And like the dream just felt so amazing. And specifically, like when I received, because I was sitting with the fortune teller, and when I received the cards that she presented, like all the cards were good. But then she was like, there's only a few bad cards in the deck. And like as she's shuffling, I see the death in passing. I see the death card in passing. And then I see the actual one that I received that fell out as she was saying, that was the Nine of Swords, which is like a person sitting on the bed, like basically they're up all night and riddled with anxiety. And that used to be like one of my signature cards for myself. So while the dream was overall really good, the two cards, and also knowing that Gemini rules the area of life in my birth chart pertaining to death was one of them, transformation, shared resources and other things. Naturally, even though I felt really good, then I started to like when my mind set in, I was like, wait a minute, this is scary. And I was like freaking out to Alexis, and I told Alexis the dream. She was like, yeah, it doesn't really seem like anything to be like worried about, or it's just like pay attention to this. And literally the emotion that I felt in the dream, like in that whole scene, was exactly what I experienced in the reveal of what that dream was pointing to. So I was very delighted, very intrigued by the mystery of everything. But then I was also feeling really heavy about what the message, like what the news was that came forth. So it was
Mm.
really interesting that, and I literally that night when my mom shared it with me or reminded me, it was like 11 o'clock or so at night. And I was like literally in my bed, like up late. I wasn't crying or anything, but I was just sitting there pondering everything. I couldn't sleep. Just
Mm.
because I was like, well, what about this thing? And what about that? Just like the mystery of like all the things. And so it was definitely from that experience, there was like a strong like reflection of the emotion from that dream. And then from what, how my emotions were experienced in that experience of it coming to fruition.
I think
So yeah.
I think the reason why you felt the one part was to snap you into the moment, like a hook like a fisherman trying to catch a fish.
Yeah. Yeah.
It might be on the line, but maybe it's not on there good enough. Let me hook it better, or something like that. You pull it in, reel
Yeah.
it in better. And that hooked you in because, oh, this doesn't feel right, or you were feeling a little anxious, but you felt good overall. But it was
Mm-hmm.
a big enough hook to make you remember and keep you hooked.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well, my thought anyway.
Yeah.
So
No, I that resonates. And I
No, that's
think
so
that
interesting.
yeah. Oh no, go ahead.
No, no, no. That's what I was just gonna say. It's so interesting the way that it played out. Like it always blows my mind the way it plays out.
Yeah, like you really can't make it up.
No,
It's
and
really
when you were,
interesting.
go ahead.
No, you go. Go
Well,
ahead.
when you
I
were
mean, you and I have
talking,
been synced up. Yeah.
sorry. When you were talking before and you were asking about changing something, you were like, "Are you able to
Mm,
change something?"
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
With my experiences, it either happened too quickly, where like I'm picking up, picking up,
Mm-hmm.
picking up, picking up, picking up, and then it's over, or
Mm-hmm.
it's something that I know in my dream there's nothing I can do.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have that dream,
Yeah.
there's nothing I can do. It's like we talked, it possibly a fixed point in time that can't be
Yeah.
changed.
Yeah.
So it's just it's so interesting how these especially because with your grandmother you had recently had a dream with her like playing with your daughter and
Mm-hmm.
you interacted with her and
Yeah.
like had that voice from the sky. So now I'm like
Yeah.
thinking like, was it
Yeah.
snowballing? Like were you getting these messages more frequently than you actually may have realized?
Yeah. Yeah,
preparing for
I
this.
think you're on to something. Yeah. No, I definitely feel that. And this is why the realm of dreams is so amazing, because it's like you can witness how everything is just connected. And yeah, there's just so much happening. I can't even put it into words. But I feel that, with everyone's dream space is so unique to them. The way we receive messages, the way, our dream symbols, even, and how we can even kind of like work together with almost programming how, we receive that, or what's kind of significant. And then it's like we're working with our whole self, if that makes sense, right? Where it's like, okay, I really like you showing me moon phases when I need to pay attention to something. And yes, I'm an astrologer. It makes so much sense. So
Absolutely.
keep doing that, right? Like, it's like my unconscious self sees that I'm really excited, and it's like, oh yes, I'm gonna throw that at her again, and that, like, I note that down. And this is why I've told people to make your own dream dictionary, with your symbols. And
Yeah,
sometimes those symbols might give you an indication too that this might be precognitive, or something's coming up, right, that you need to be
absolutely.
aware of.
Since we had our dream symbol conversation a couple weeks back, I'm noticing more the dream
Mm,
symbols that are reoccurring. I'm noticing
yeah.
it more, like things that I wouldn't have like thought of as being dream symbols. Like for one, heat and cold. Both of those
Yeah, that
I'm
was one
I'm
something I
understanding
noticed.
now is a dream symbol. And
Mm-hmm.
it's so interesting how all of that plays a role.
Yeah. What about you, Jace? Do you have any recurring like dream symbols
Yeah, I
that you
mean,
can share?
so yeah, so a lot of dream symbols that I get a lot of snakes, um,
Ooh, nice.
I also
dragons.
get
Dragon is another one. I've had several dragon dreams, and they're really, I don't know how to explain it other than they're really amazing and crazy. I mean, I physically
What
got
does the
ill in one of the
dragon like?
dreams during the
Yeah,
dragon, huh?
what does the dragon like mean? If it's not too
So,
personal, if you feel comfortable
oh no,
sharing,
it's
of
not.
course.
So, my normal, humane dragon is really what my username is for Instagram, anyways. But it's because I'm born in the year of the dragon, so humane
Okay.
dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I didn't know I was born in the year of the dragon, but I've had dragon dreams before I knew I was born in the year of the dragon. And it's not really in precognitive or whatever. I guess we could talk about it at some other point, unless you want me to talk about it. I could tell you what the dream
Sure.
is.
like
Yeah.
connected.
You really?
Yeah.
Okay. So this dream years and years ago, and it was before I was in high school. Um, I had a dream where I was in school. It seemed like it was a normal school day, except when I walked into the classroom, everything in there was a dragon. Every one of them. Every seat had a
Wow.
dragon sitting in it. Being the type of person I was in high school, I used to sit in the back because I didn't like to be, I could always get, teacher would always call on me and I could answer whatever. I didn't like the attention because I
Mm-hmm.
tend to have a close group of friends and not a ton of them. I'm not really, I'm not really an extrovert. I can be, but not a lot. So I went to the back and they said, no, 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 no. You don't sit in the back. That's your seat up there in the front. You got to sit up there. And I'm whatever. I mean, I noticed they're dragons, but I don't care. And that's because I know how to do doing the lucid stuff. One of the things to say lucid, you're like one of the one rule for me at least is do not get too excited because you get too
Yep.
excited, you pop right out. So I'm
Or
not
Yep.
excited
scared or
or
emotional,
scared.
like at
So
all.
Any
Like don't
emotions,
let your
yeah.
emotions do anything. Just
yeah,
exist.
just like, yeah, okay, I'm going with it, whatever.
Yeah,
So I'm like,
Yeah.
it's
okay,
really
well,
hard for
yeah,
me.
all right, I guess I'll sit in the front. So I sit down in the front. Then the teacher comes in. It's a huge, huge dragon. Um, and starts teaching things. Now, the reason why I call this kind of like a learning one is because it teaches about the elements, not like the periodic elements, like fire, water, air, earth.
Mm-hmm.
And they start explaining how they are related to us and all these different spiritual
Wow.
things. And this is You know, I really wasn't into spiritual stuff at that time because I didn't have access to it because
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't. And I start getting nauseous, like ill. I felt like I was going to throw up in class. So I'm like, "Hey, can I go? I feel really, really, really sick." I'm like, "Yeah, sure, you can go." So I go to the bathroom. I go in the bathroom, and one of the common things is to splash water in your face to kind of calm yourself down and whatever. Once I did that and looked in the mirror, that's when I saw myself as a dragonite. Woke up.
Oh, you were a dragon, like in
Mhm.
the nice.
So that was like my first dragon dream, and the
Wow.
the elements was what really got me. It felt like it was really I shouldn't know what they were telling me, what they told me, and
Wow. Yeah,
I love that.
interesting.
I got some other weird
Interesting.
ones too. But
Well, this is like the year of the dragon, right? Yeah.
yeah,
I can't
it is
remember
Yep.
which one.
wood.
Is it wood?
Wood.
Okay. Are you a wood dragon?
No,
Oh,
I'm a
okay.
fire.
Nice. I was thinking
Okay.
this was the year of the fire dragon, so maybe I was tuning into you, but
I'm a Leo
nice.
fire. So
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, okay, so remind me, you have a Pisces moon, right?
hmm
An Aquarius rising
hmm
and Leo sun.
yep.
Nice. Aquarius energy is so potent right now, at least in my world. I mean, I have Aquarius sun, and I have been kind of up until recently, I've kind of just been very tuned out of Aquarius and like really focused into Scorpio. Like Scorpio is my jam.
Mm-hmm.
But I think once Pluto moved back into Aquarius, or yeah, into Aquarius, and it was the day it moved into Aquarius was on my birthday of this year. So it was a really powerful statement of
Cool.
really embodying that Aquarius. And I've been connecting with so many people that have Aquarius placements. Like Alexis has an Aquarius moon. So I mean, it's just like this expanded consciousness and just stepping into these like weird, otherworldly, fringy type topics is just
Yeah. A
the
hundred
vibe. It's
percent.
going to be the vibe at least for the next 20 years.
I
And
was
I
gonna say
feel
at least for a very long time.
right. Yeah. It's like I feel everyone's kind of on the Aquarius wavelength, even if they don't know it yet. Like we're here and it's like we're doing the thing. So,
I feel it so strong.
this was
So
such
strong.
a great
Particularly
conversation.
the like energy to bring people together. Like to
Yeah.
bring everyone together and to kind of like break down walls and barriers and rebuild something stronger and better. I'm really, really
Yeah.
feeling that. Like I've been saying that as crazy as things that I know Urania is in America. I'm assuming Jace, you're in America,
Yes.
but the way that things are in America right now, I've been feeling this like for a couple of years now that like it's insane and crazy. I feel like something's gonna fall. I feel like
Yeah.
something's gonna change. I can
Yeah.
feel it in my bones. I don't know when, but I can feel it.
Yeah. And Aquarius is a sign where it's like, okay, let's just like let's all fly our freak flags. Like we can all coexist, do our thing, be weird, be who we are, and just like that's cool. Like we can just all exist and be cool. Right. And I
Absolutely.
feel that. I feel, that's what I'm seeing a lot in, my circle and my perspective. And I'm here for it. I'm really excited to talk about all of these things. So I'm just going to tap into the comment section here and then we'll have any last words or things we want to share. So Mary is going strong here in the comments. Thanks, Mary, for holding it down here. So Mary has said, like one of her comments says that her and her daughter have had the exact dream where she continued the dream from what Mary's daughter continued the dream from where Mary didn't finish, right? Okay, so she
That's
picked up
so
from where Mary
cool.
started. And it was pertaining to a deceased niece's energy. So I feel like Mary, you told me about this where like the niece's energy was in the home, like the space. And yeah, so that I've had experiences actually I mean, of course, this is a different topic, but I've had spirits come to me like in the in between. And this is more so not even like past, loved ones, but more so whatever's in my space. Like I always know if there's an unwelcome like spirit or visitor in my home, because especially if it's something antagonizing, because they connect with me in the in between. And I literally have a spiritual battle where I'm like yelling mantras at them. And I'm like, get the, like, I'm so ruthless in my dreams. Like, it's so interesting. I've always been very active in like the astral, so to speak. And it's interesting that I've just never like really got deep into that dream space. I think of like maybe I was afraid of some things within myself. But anyways, yeah, I've had experiences with connecting to like energies and spirits like that are in this space, like through dreams. Have you guys have anything like that too?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. That house that I lived in had a couple other spirits in it. Um, and one of them was the other older guy, and he wasn't very nice. And the other one was a little boy. And I really didn't feel very much after that burn. To kind of go
Mm,
into the more of it, I had that it was my sister that I used to talk to, and she's the one who talked to me about
right.
dreams and stuff like that. And so there was three of them. The other guy stayed in the one room, and the little boy went around and did stuff. And
Wow.
but when that house burned, at least from what I understood, I talked to another person because I hadn't talked to the spirit, which was my sister, for years and years. She used to talk to me, and I hadn't talked to her. And then somebody I was talking to said, I think I know somebody that you know. And I'm like, really? And
What?
yeah, this is really weird. Um, I'm like, they said they know you, and they said if I drew something, would you look at it? And I'm like, okay. So they drew a picture of her. And from what I remember, what she looked like as a 10-year-old. And it was her. And I'm like, that's
Wait, was this
her.
a
How do you
spirit
know
talking
her?
to you or like a person?
It was
This
a
is another spirit.
person who was
Oh,
talking
another.
to she was talking to, the spirit was. So
Oh,
according to her, when the fire happened, fire is an energy, it blew them
yeah.
away. They
Yeah.
got dispersed somewhere else, and
It's
they
like a
had to go
cleanse.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Purification by fire.
yeah, and she went somewhere else and met this other person and was help working with them. And eventually I this other person connected up with me through
That's
chatting. And
crazy.
yeah, there's some weird
Did
I got
you
weird magnet
reconnect
stuff
with
going
your
on.
sister?
Huh?
Yeah.
Did
Have
you
you?
reconnect with your sister
Yes, I
after
have.
you met her?
Yes.
Oh,
There's
okay.
more.
Nice.
Oh, there's way more to that.
Okay. We're going to
Uh,
have a private
yeah,
Zoom meeting at some
that stuff's
point.
later. We could talk about that later, but there's way more
Oh,
stuff to that. There's just all sorts of
yeah.
stuff that I've had
Yeah.
going on for a long time. So
Yeah. That's interesting. And I feel like, do you think that just your thoughts, can you invite, say if there's deceased loved ones that you want to connect? Like, I feel like if they visit you, that you can probably invite them back, like in the instance of, Mary. Like, I'm sure that you can probably, I know, because she's very sensitive and in tune to her environment. And like, she has energies like past loved ones, like coming to visit all the time. So I know that you can probably like invite them to come back to communicate, I guess whether it's through dreams or not. But yeah.
it's a really common method
Ooh,
for
getting
them to
chills.
communicate you. It's so easy for them to do that versus trying to manifest in the physical world and
Yeah.
manipulate something because that takes
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Whereas
you're
the
saying
dream,
it's easier for them to contact through dreams. Yeah.
yeah, not just spirits, other stuff. I mean, other beings, whatever you want to call it, I'm an ominous, so I believe in a lot of different things. But
Mm-hmm.
like higher beings, spirits,
Mm-hmm.
dreams is the easiest method that's connecting with us. I use the analogy of it's like you going to a Starbucks that's like maybe a block away versus, you're trying to find a friend somewhere in New York City and you might have a street, but you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big difference for
Yeah.
manifestation in the real world versus the dreams. So,
Yeah. Interesting. I have a question for you, Jace, since
okay.
I don't know, just thinking about spirits and dreams. So I had this dream like a few weeks ago, a few months ago, where in the dream, and I'm sure this has probably happened to you before, maybe, but dream going on as normal. And then I feel like the dream ended because it was just like at this point it was black, like a black, just black, nothing,
Void.
the void. And I heard a voice that sounds like if you believed in like the Christian God, it was a male dominant, powerful voice that was saying, you know, to wake up from the dream is to wake up from your grandmother's dream or something of that nature. But anyways, my point is, like, have you experienced like a voice, like something outside of yourself? Like it's almost like, I don't know if it's a spirit. Yeah, like it's, I don't know even know how to explain. It felt like a spirit guide, or
And
like
hyper
it literally
focused
felt
on
like,
it.
right, it literally felt like God. It was just like, don't, like it was like watching over the
Overpowering.
thing. Yeah. And then I woke up after that. Have you had any experience with that, or know of people that have had that? And like, what the
So,
hell?
so it's another dragon dream I had, and it was kind of like that, but the dragon was literally just, its teeth were size of skyscrapers. Let's put it to that immensity. I'm in this, just standing on a forest or whatever, and I'm seeing this thing pull itself out of the ground, rocks, trees, and stuff falling off of it, and it's huge. And then all of a sudden, it leans forward to me, and it looks like it's going to slam right into me. I'm seeing these things huge, and I'm like in awe of it. And it stops right before it gets to me, and it says, "You're not ready." And I wake up from that.
Whoa. Wow.
Ominous.
Yeah, that's what I
Right?
thought too. I'm like, what the hell did I
Right.
do?
How long ago was that? Like, was that, were you
uh
young, or
3 to 5 years ago, I'm thinking.
have you
Yeah,
like
5 years.
figured out what that was, or like what that meant or anything like that? Or,
Yeah, I'm thinking it had to do with maybe stuff that I just wasn't ready to start talking about things that
oh, okay.
I've been talking with now. So
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking
Good.
that's really what it was about. You're not ready. So
Mm.
I had a similar
Yeah.
dream to that as well, where my deceased grandmother, I was in a completely white room. And it's not even a room, just like emptiness, completely white and emptiness. And my grandmother's there, and she is holding a pillow that she made. And like I can still feel and remember this pillow. And she looked at me and said, "I made this for your grandmother or your great grandmother one year." She said, "Please do not make the same mistakes I made." And I know what that is now. It
Whoa.
was
Oh, okay.
don't allow yourself to fall away from the relationship with your mother.
Hmm.
She had issues with her
Interesting.
mother. My mom had issues with her mother, who was the deceased one who, met up with me. And I have had issues with my mother. And when she had that dream, that was like a turning point for me, where I was like, I have to
Wow.
change these things because it's not worth it.
Yeah.
If I have someone coming to me who are dead, telling me not to make the
Yeah.
same goddamn mistakes,
Yeah.
I need to take their advice. Like, I gotta get that situated.
yeah,
And since
Yeah.
then, my relationship with my mom has healed significantly, more than I ever would have
Wow.
expected it to.
That's awesome.
And this is within the last like 2 years.
Nice. Yeah. I don't know. I wish I had a face to this spirit, whatever this was, but that was pretty wild. I was like, whoa. And this is like what I'm living for. I'm like, yes, this is what, like, that's the shit that I want. Like, that's
Maybe you
so
can
cool. I
astral
love that.
travel with the intention to like reunite with this
Connect. Yeah,
voice,
maybe I
like,
can.
or manifest it, like write it in your journal every night, like,
Yeah.
come back to
Yeah, because
me, or whatever the fuck you
I
would
know, like
say.
right after that, I was like, oh, like what I need, because I wasn't really clear like what they meant, and also like I couldn't fully remember the message, and I just knew it was like to wake up from your dream, you have to like basically, honestly, from what I feel, and my daughter's father and I have had this conversation, my grandmother has like a lot of unfinished business. And I feel that I can help her with a lot of that. I mean, even with the nature of what I'm doing now, because she was really into psychology and consciousness, and that was like what she was working on before she died. And so I feel, and really no one else in our family is into any of this, like spirituality, or can connect with her in this way. So I feel that like I'm the one to break the generational curses. I'm the one to like help her finish whatever the fuck. So
That makes so
I
much
feel
sense.
like that's the answer.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm like, I need to know. Like my
Well, here's the
Capricorn's like,
thing
now I
too,
need
is
clear
like
answers.
some people theorize that dying, when you die, it's just like you're in a dream. Like you just are
Right. Or
in
you wake up, like, yeah,
like
like you
in a
wake up,
dream.
or yeah.
And so it would make so much sense that
Or this is the
the
dream.
message
Like I've
would
heard
be to
this is
help
the
your
dream.
grandmother out of
Yeah.
this
Her
dream
dream.
state
Yeah.
to move forward to where she needs to be.
Yeah. Which
Maybe
freaks me
you
out
should
because I'm like,
manifest
okay,
your
no, I don't
grandmother
want to
more.
like die. Like, I'm like, they're like, oh, if you wait, I'm like, no, I'm not ready for that. Like, I'm okay in the dream right now.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, this is like inside my Aquarius mind.
Yeah.
With This is why I've been so hesitant of the dream space, because it's like the interpretation. It's not like clear. It's all in symbology. And I'm just like,
Yeah. And that's so
what?
funny because I jump like head first into this kind of thing because I am interested, and I think because a lot of my childhood into young adulthood and into adulthood was so traumatic in different ways, like I got used to the fear in my real life, and I got used to the fear in my dream life, and changed the
Yeah.
way that I feel in my dream life, where like I'm not
You can
fearful,
escape
I'm just
almost. Yeah.
existing, observing, being in it.
Ooh,
And I feel
yeah,
that
that's a
way
good
with
point.
wanting answers or diving deeper into it too, is like
Mm-hmm.
whatever happens is going to happen. I have no
Yeah.
control over it, or if I do, I only have a certain amount of control depending on what it is, because if it has anything to do with like fixed points or anything, like I can't do anything.
Yeah.
But if this could help yourself heal and help your grandmother heal too, like that is so crazy and incredible.
Yeah. And
That's
like I've been saying, like with the dream space, it is at the end of the day, I feel more confident. And it's like the knowing that you are connected to the divine, and you are like protect, like it's like I have access to getting heads up, or to getting
yeah,
messages that can, you know, potentially save me, right? And so I have to kind of switch my perspective of how I receive or perceive what's coming forth, you know, through this realm. So
absolutely.
yeah. Awesome. Well, I think we're probably definitely at an hour. Are there any last words, any things you want to share? This is definitely Jace. We're definitely gonna have you on again, because
Okay.
there's so many things, and I've been trying to stay on topic, but my mind's been going. So
It's okay.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
Any
a abstract concept, so
Yeah.
we can go in so
Yeah.
many different directions with
Yeah.
it. And like you feel really connected with Jace, the um kind of like the would you say the digital realm or the internet realm, because of how much you work with that
Yeah.
type of
I
thing.
yeah, I feel from my experience in the dreams and my experience in real life on how things work, not necessarily work in an actual sense, but like we're like computers
Mm-hmm.
biologically.
Mm-hmm.
If you could think about it chemically, we are kind of biological computers. We store all this
Mm-hmm.
data. We store, we hear things, we see things, we remember things. We're still storing data. It's, and I mean, it would just only make sense that you could connect somehow to this greater network, whatever it is. And I would link that to like the dreams or the mental or whatever it is. And we're connecting to it. And that's how we're also receiving information. That's how you receive information from, you know, your relatives or whatever, because of
Mm-hmm.
they've already uploaded or what uploaded themselves, I guess you could say, out of the
Or downloaded, yeah, either
downloaded
or.
themselves out of the material space and into the dream or mental space, whatever you want to
Mm-hmm.
call it. but and we can access that still because I mean, there's like data can't be destroyed. Like I think that's one of the scientific fundamentals. Data can't be destroyed. Like you cannot say, even if dinosaurs, we never found a dinosaur bone, dinosaurs existed, right?
Mhm.
Data can't be
Yeah, of
destroyed.
course.
If they've never existed, they never had
Yeah.
data in the first place. So that,
Right.
I mean, even when you like they cut a leaf in half and put it under an X-ray machine, and you still see the energy of the other half of the leaf that's not there
yeah,
anymore.
yeah,
Yeah.
There's
Very true.
there's so much like there's just so much to it. Like we could take this in so many different
yeah.
directions.
We,
It's not even. That's why it's such a wonderful topic because it's never ending.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you both for being here. Thank you to everyone that is watching here live and watching the replay. Please like the video if you enjoyed this conversation. And of course, tune in as we will be here every week at 9 p.m. Eastern time to talk about dreams. And yeah, we would love to hear what you think, your perspective, your experiences. Leave them in the comment section. And yeah, I guess have a good night and sweet dreams, everyone.
Have a good night and thank you.
Bye.
Bye.